Let's not wait for that Cuyahoga River to be on fire. Let's prepare ourselves for the situations at hand. And you know, personally, I don't like using terms like a cyber 9/11 or a cyber Pearl Harbor because that misses the point. Cybersecurity incidents happen all the time and we have to be prepared for them. We don't need to wait for that catastrophic event to strike us and lead to extinction of software classes or human beings. And now we're gonna change gears a little bit. I'm going to invite a personal friend to the stage, a gentleman who traveled all the way from Arizona, but he is originally from Israel. This is a guy that calls amongst his personal friends people like the world-famous hacker Kevin Mitnick and Frank Abagnale, the gentleman from Catch Me If You Can. This is Mr. Ori Eisen, a serial entrepreneur, founder of Trusona, an innovative, groundbreaking company which you'll hear about first today. Prior to Trusona, Ori worked and founded a company called 41st Parameter, which was sold to Experian and later on to American Express, where he was the head of global fraud prevention. Ori has dedicated decades of his life to fighting various forms of online crime. And I can tell you from personal experience, don't confuse his entertainment and comedic nature for the seriousness and brilliance of what he does and what he is committed to do. Please help me by welcoming to the stage Mr. Ori Eisen. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me in the back? Wake up, wake up. This is your wake-up call. Come on, people, wake up. Welcome, Tel Aviv. Let's start with a laugh, because if we will not laugh, we will soon cry, all of us. I didn't hear a single good news here today. I flew all the way for this. Folks, what you see in this cartoon is what the gangs of crime who did not advance to cyber are still doing. But the people we should really be worried about are not using guns anymore. What I'm going to show you today is a little trip down memory lane and show you that the crimes we fight are as old. Hold on. Come on. All right. Identity theft started back in the Bible. Kid yourselves not. What you're going to see is why I'm on this journey, and if you want to see the technology that Karen talked about, come see me outside. This presentation is not about what I do for a living, but it is why I chose this path, and why I choose this presentation style in order to change something in you today as soon as you leave here. When I ask myself, where does the money go, my life changed. When I was the head of risk at American Express, one day I asked my boss, when we lose $10 million, where does it go? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Very recently we heard about $81 million being stolen through the Bangladeshi bank over SWIFT. Folks, that's where the money goes. 5 things: narcotics, weapons, terrorism, human trafficking, and the worst of all, where I spend some of my personal time volunteering, is in child exploitation online. It does not go to buy gifts for somebody's grandma. You don't need that much money for that. The internet today is all about convenience. Nobody here wants to do the extra step because we think it will not happen to us. The perfect internet would have been this point where privacy and security and convenience would all be optimized, if you may, but it can't be. For those of you who do not go through the Ben Gurion airport all the time, I'm sure you felt something different when you went through. You see, you can make the airport really, really secure and have everybody go through a full body cavity search before they go on a plane, but it would not be too convenient, would it be? And then you can say, you know, in our airport, we are all about privacy. We don't ask people who they are. You can just go on. Clearly something else would give. What I chose to do is to start another path, which is an internet that is parallel to the one we have, that is based on convenience. Because if you just want to check movie times, you don't need to have security. But have something that is really, really secure, all the way to the point of insuring it. Because if we don't do that, the future is bleak. If the year was 1967, the one word I will tell a graduate today is plastics. Now, I'm assuming half of the audience are young enough or do not know the reference, and for that I'll ask the AV team to play the one clip, or I'll press next and see if it just works. Here it goes. Just check the volume. AV folks, we can't hear the video, but you can hear me. Can we do a replay and turn on the volume? Should I give it another try? Let's give it another try. All right, it just advanced. Let me just go back. We'll try one more time. I'm not giving up on it. Here we go. Just turn on the volume of the video.
I just want to say one word to you.
Oh boy.
Just one word. Yes, sir. I'm listening. Just so you. Plastics.
All right, so I'm sorry you couldn't hear this. Let's try and work on the audio because we have one more video and we really want good sound on that. In this clip you see Dustin Hoffman being told, if you were to go into one field in 1967, go into plastics. Because it's 2016, if I would talk to a young graduate, I will tell him one word: cybersecurity. It is the one area that keeps on growing and we cannot defend unless we have the right, bright minds helping us with it. You see, at this point in the game, we experienced the breach of the day. In 2010, if you were to look at a pictogram of how many breaches we had, it would be roughly the breach of the year. One big one every year. However, cyber criminals began harnessing something called the Zeus Malware, and without knowing all the details about it, what you need to know is it could completely replay whatever you typed on. If you put your finger and had a DNA or a fingerprint or an iris scan, it didn't matter. It could just replay the session. This is what happened since 2010. We now have almost the breach of the day. And the good guys need an advantage in order to change the game on the bad guys. By show of hands, how many people know that this tweet happened on the Associated Press Twitter account? I'm looking at the audience. Raise your hand if you know what this is. About 50% of you. This one fake tweet on the Associated Press, which is a news agency, that said that the White House had an explosion, dropped the Dow Jones 150 points in 90 seconds. The value of that is $136 billion. I don't remember that we rioted as a society that day. I remember us going to Starbucks very vividly. This is the largest heist in history. Happened 2 years ago, and half of us are not aware of it. It's kind of funny to talk about it in Israel, because the guys behind this are the Syrian Electronic Army. Now, if you knew that this tweet is about to come out, what could you do? You could short stock, knowing that their value is going to go down. That's what they did. There's no AML, which is anti-money laundering rules against it. This is completely legal. And if we don't stop this with greater authentication, we are going to fund a lot of bad things. This is a caricature from 20 years ago. On the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. The problem is it's 20 years after, and I don't think we can say anything differently. And for that, we brought a video about Peter the cat. I'm going to press play audio video, folks. Let's see if we can get good sound this time. Here we go. All right. Thank you, thank you. Peter the cat. The problem is, if we cannot identify exactly who's on the other end, this was whimsical and funny, but it will not be funny when this will be a nuclear power plant. It will not be funny when SWIFT would lose $1 billion. And it will not be funny if it would be your medical records. You see, we're fighting very creative and motivated people, not predictable systems. You can't change the equation just with software or just by plugging something, because the people on the other end are extremely motivated because they make a lot of money if they're successful. Let's talk about crime as a service. I have 5 more minutes, and we still want to do a fun exercise with you to do a live poll and see, maybe we'll get some new results here from this audience today. How many people know what the Darknet is? For those of us who have not visited, this is what you can buy. I don't know why they say there's a problem of immigrants. You can just buy a passport. On the Darknet, you can buy a lot of different things. I brought some samples today. If you want to become a citizen of the United States or other countries, you just get some documents. This is a little bit fuzzy. I'm going to make it slightly bigger for you to see, but this is the kind of crime you can buy now online. Would you like a murder? As you can see, there's a low rank, a high rank, missing in action, death in an accident. You can just pay that online, just like you shop at Amazon and eBay. Folks, that's what you can buy. The point in all this is the attack probability on any one of you is really a function of the incentive. You see, if you would have a website that sells straw hats that no one cares about, no one will attack you. But if you sell something that could be changed on the street for $50 or cash, that'll be really interesting. And when the good guys bring a new solution to the market, it has a shelf life, because this is an arms race. On the very left, you see that when new technologies come out, they're extremely effective. And as time goes by and fraudsters figure out what they do and perhaps post how to fight it, the effectiveness goes down. And it goes on again, again, and again. As practitioners, a good advice would be to look at what Sun Tzu wrote over 2,500 years ago. And just by show of hands, how many people have read Sun Tzu, The Art of War? About 50. I would highly suggest you pick this up, not because I say so, because my good friend Paris Hilton reads it, and you should read it too. I want to do an experiment with you guys in my last 3 minutes. I want to talk to you about the price of shame. Because I'm about to ask you a question, and in front of everybody, I want you to raise your hand. And then I'll ask you a very similar question, but instead of raising your hand, I'll ask you to go to a website and fill in a poll. What would you really do? And here's my point. How many people think here that your customers, if you run a company, pick really, really strong passwords? Can you raise your hand? Can't see a single hand. Well, good. After the RockU breach, for the very first time, we could undo the SHA-1 hash that they used. Those are the passwords most of us pick. The number one password there is 18% of all of their accounts. 1 second. So that means if I will guess this one password on all their accounts, I would open 18% of the doors. Think about that. And why is that so important? As security practitioners, we say, oh, we can't really guess passwords because we have a limit of 3, so if you guess 3 times, I'll lock you up. But if I know this list, why can't I just guess once on the entire list? In the UK, they have this problem that a lot of people pick their favorite soccer team as their password. And I leave it with that. We are all people. So, here's my question to you folks. If you got outside of your office, and here's this USB, and it's marked confidential, how many of you would be curious to see what was on it? Could you raise your hand so we can see? How many would be curious? Wow, cool. Truth tellers in the audience. Let's do this one more time. This time, I want you to go to trusona.com/S for survey. Open your mobile devices. I'll play the Jeopardy music for you for 30 seconds. Go answer that question one more time. Now that you know that no one will know if you raised your hand or not. That's what I call the price of shame. We all want to think we're secure. We want to say we're secure. But are we really? I couldn't afford the real music. All right, this beeper is going. What I would like to do now is ask the AV folks to click on this link to open up the survey result. And again, I haven't seen the results. It will just show up. The first bar will be the yeses. How many of you said yes? The second bar will be no. And the third will be maybe, but I consider maybe as a yes. I did pray to the demo god. Oh, but I prayed to the poll god. I'm not sure. Let's see. It's coming. Whoa, look at you guys. That is exactly what's going on. To wrap this up, I want you to know that at the end of the day, curiosity would kill the cat. We can put all the firewalls in the world, all the security measures, but if you pick that USB, if you do that one thing that is insecure, you're risking everybody else with you. If you can go back to the slide, we'll just wrap up. I want to give you the, here. All right, so I'm not going to leave here without giving you one free tip, and then we'll wrap. Here's Matt Honan. He's a Wired reporter, somebody who really knows what he's doing as far as security. His entire digital life was taken over because he picked the same passwords in all of his accounts. You don't need to raise your hand. I know you're doing it. What you can do today is one thing: change your passwords. Because if your passwords were just breached last night, you will just render them useless right now. You don't need money, you don't need instructions, you already know how to do it. And as a good hygiene, every month, every 3 months, just change your passwords. Because the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men and women like you doing nothing. Thank you so much for your time.